Number two is to identify where is this data going to come from for this particular job. In our case, our challenge was we're going to pull from Oracle, right? So I choose something here we call a connection. So prior to the show, I created a handful of connections, including one that pointed to my Oracle instance. Now, it's very easy to create these connections. It's simply giving us the appropriate information, like the Oracle username and password, that's going to allow our service to connect to your data, right? So you see here, I've got that connection set up for my Oracle instance, and when I choose that connection in the drop-down list, it goes out and connects to Oracle and presents me with a list of all the objects that are in Oracle. So I can now choose what object or set of objects I'm going to pull data from. So maybe it's the customers table here, and it gives me a quick little preview of the data, and basically I'm done with step two. Now, our challenge was to load and sync data into Salesforce, so here in step three, I'm going to pick a connection that, again, points to Salesforce in this case. So I pick that connection, and again, creating that connection is very easy. It's simply providing the Salesforce username and password that our service will use to connect to your org. And when you choose that connection, it gives you the drop-down list of everything that's in your Salesforce account. Not mine, but yours. So all the standard objects, accounts, contacts, opportunities, leads, also any custom objects. If you've got a Force.com app installed, if you've extended the CRM in any way, those are going to be available here as well. Now my challenge with account sync, so I'm going to pick the account object, and I don't have any data in Salesforce, but that's the process here. And then we keep moving. So here in step four, it's your opportunity to be selective in what data you're going to pull out of your source that you chose in step two. So in my case, out of Oracle. So if I only wanted particular record types, or if I wanted just a geographic subset of data, I could do that here in step four. But it's completely optional, so I'm going to skip over that and move on to step five. Now, here in step five, what you see on the screen is, based on your choices in step two, you see your source fields here on the left. Based on your choice in step three, you see your target fields here in the middle. Our goal is to populate this third column, okay? Either through direct maps of data, where you have a specific data element that you want to move from Oracle to Salesforce, or through some set of rules. So we jumpstart that process here by looking at the field names and identifying very similarly named fields, like billing underscore city in the source and billing city in the target. And we do an auto match, assuming you probably want that to happen. Now, you can always eliminate all of these collectively, or just get rid of these one by clicking on the right icon. And of course, where the field names are very different, it's a simple drag and drop. So cust ID gets mapped over to external ID, right? So that's the first part of this process. But the second part is, this is where you can also deal with the data anomalies between the two environments. So an easy example is, perhaps Oracle has two address lines, address 1, address 2, and of course over at Salesforce you only have a single billing stream field. So we need to merge these two fields together as a rule as we're moving and syncing the data in Salesforce. So to do that, I can take address 1 and drop it in. I can take address 2 and drop it into the same field, and it automatically builds that concatenation rule for me. And you can see it's a link which will take you to an editor page where you have access not only to that concatenation rule, but across all of these different categories of functions, there's somewhere in the vicinity of about 100 of these functions. So concatenating, validating data, decoding data, translating it, all sorts of power here in this list of functions. So if you need that power, it's here at your fingertips in step 5. If it's direct maps of data, fantastic. That's what you're trying to accomplish here in step 5. Then last, the only thing left is to say, when should this job run? So is it a schedule you've already created, like daily? Is it a new schedule you want to create on the fly? Maybe call it a particular name. When does it start? What time does it start? And what sort of a schedule is it? Is it a monthly schedule, weekly schedule, all the way down to every n number of days, hours, or minutes, every 3 days, every 5 minutes, every 20 minutes? So create your schedule.